Hello everyone and welcome back to your favorite podcast, Wheels, Winchesters, and Weebs. This is Tyler in the studio by himself today, bringing you another little car tidbit. Happy New Year everyone. I hope 2023 was great and 2024 is going to be even better. Today I wanted to circle back to something that I talked about on our Instagram page, which I'll link in the episode description for those who want to follow us there. And that is about the EV bubble having burst. I know I made a joke about it back in December of 2023, but we have some more information coming out. And it just seems like people are not interested in buying electric cars. According to money.com, it's taking about 88 days for a dealer to sell their EV inventory as compared to 59 for their gas-powered inventory. In just the last couple of weeks, EV leaders like Tesla slashed its prices once again, and Ford reduced its production of the F-150 Lightning electric pickup truck and postponed the $12 billion EV spending that they were thinking about. Mercedes-Benz CFO Harold Wilhelm described that the EV market is a brutal space, and as the company continues to discount its vehicles. GM delayed 3 new EV models that they were planning on launching and backed off of their goal to produce 400,000 EVs by the middle of next year. And even Honda has announced that it was ending plans with GM to jointly develop affordable EVs. Seems like the writing's on the wall. With Tesla slashing prices on all their EV models, other manufacturers are just getting killed and have to make the choice between losing money on lower prices or lower sales. Which is rather odd, because if you look back on any of the car sales statistics from the last couple of years, it seems like EVs were going to the moon. So what happened? Well, it's important to remember, a lot of the people who shot up the sales in EVs over the last couple of years were early adopters. These are the people that want to try the new technology, they want to get in on the new thing, and with the supply being limited, it made them that much more desirable. That same group didn't have a problem paying luxury prices in some cases for these electric vehicles, but that can't last forever. Right now, EVs have to start pushing into the mass market, and that's looking to be way harder for them than we first thought. So why aren't people buying? As I did my research on this episode, I found 5 reasons that seem to be the killers for why EVs just aren't going to move forward as quickly as we thought. First one is they're just too expensive. The average EV can be up to $10,000 more than the gas models in the same vehicle class. MSN's Kaylee McKenney mentioned that the steepest decline in interest for EVs was among the Gen Z population, which makes sense. It's the youngest generation to date, and they have the least money to spend on vehicles. On top of all of that, Forbes mentioned that there aren't enough viable EV options for those with the money to buy them. Forbes had this to say: there's a lot of luxury SUVs, sedans, and coupes out there, but other classes are lacking in their viable options. Look, I'm not going to be the one to bash on EVs. I think they're kind of cool, they're really sleek, but it makes sense why people aren't excited to spend more money on a new thing. Not to mention, at the same time, charging those vehicles is expensive and inconvenient. Sure, those with home chargers can save money on fuel, but public EV chargers aren't that much cheaper than gas pumps. And on top of that, trying to juggle your schedule with having to stop to charge can be a pain and headache that most buyers just don't want. Jason Isaac of the American Energy Institute made a poignant comment to MSN, saying, quote, going 800 miles with 7 stops to charge and then waiting hours to charge is a major concern with many Americans. And I can see why. With some cars taking up to 8 hours to charge, buyers just don't want the trouble of having to make sure they're not going to get trapped somewhere along their drive. Overall, many people still view EVs as way more of a headache than it's worth. I know HotCars.com mentioned in an article they posted recently that battery replacement costs, subpar performance, short range in extreme weather, small amounts of cargo space, and a lack of skilled mechanics have made EVs a hard sell. Wrapping back around to what we were talking about with the charging issue, a lot of people are anxious about getting stranded if they buy these electric cars. According to AAA, 53% of Americans are anxious about the range that EVs have on a single charge, which makes sense. Sure, some of them mention a 300-mile range when you buy them, but that's more than likely assuming fair conditions. And if you live in somewhere like the western United States or northern parts of the world where it gets extremely cold, that could cut your range in half or more. So overall, these EVs are just not what people are looking for yet. But why aren't manufacturers making them? It seems like there's still some people who are willing to spend the money on them, right? That group may be drying up. Something that IC Cars and other analytics groups have seen recently in the last couple of years since EVs became a big thing is they're not holding their value. Used EV prices fell 20% in the last year simply because people aren't interested in buying a used EV that comes with all the headaches of a used car anyway, plus the costs of having this new technology. Finally, and I think the biggest killer of the EV market came from Ward's Intelligence when they had this to say about the US market. Tesla isn't the best-selling electrified vehicle brand in the US. It's Toyota, who has plenty of experience with electric and battery start cars. With giants like Toyota focused on producing high-quality hybrids, EVs have a lot of work to do. Hybrid technology has been around for a long time, starting in 1999 with the HEV from Honda, meaning they've had 20 years of trial and error to make them a better technology, and EV cars just haven't had time to catch up yet. With hybrids being cheaper, easier to drive, and don't plan on leaving the market anytime soon, EVs are going to have a hard time. Between these 5 reasons, it's easy to see why, as Ford pointed out, that the big players in the car market still aren't sold on EVs, and neither are the buyers. Now, I'm going to be honest, I like the idea of EVs. Electric vehicles are very promising for the future, especially if we want to take them into places where gas vehicles just don't work out. But I think EVs still have a long way to go and a hard road ahead to take up the market space they need to survive in today's competitive international car market. Thank you so much for dropping by today to listen and sit here with me. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, share it with your friends or hit that auto download feature and subscribe to the podcast on the platform you're listening from. We're just getting started with this, but we're super excited to get it going. And like I said, you can always hop on over to our Instagram page where we post 3 times a week little snippets of content for you to enjoy. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. Bye now.